People say siblings are your first best friends. But mine? Mine was the first thief I ever met. Not the kind who steals money, but the kind who steals your identity while smiling at you in family photos. My name is Maya Hart. And this is the story of how my brother stole my talent, my work, my dreams. And almost stole my life. Until the world finally realized that the genius behind everything was never him. It was the quiet girl sitting in the corner, waiting for someone, anyone, to see her. And when they finally did, he couldn't survive it. I grew up in a house where achievements didn't belong to the person who earned them. They belonged to the person my family liked the most. And that person was never me. It was always my brother, Ethan. If I scored 98 in math, my parents clapped for Ethan's guidance. If I won a debate trophy, my dad proudly said, "Of course she won. Ethan trained her." If I designed something beautiful, my mom said, "Ethan inspired her creativity." I wasn't Maya Hart. I was Ethan's little sister. My identity wasn't mine. It was his borrowed glory. I didn't realize it then. But every time they gave him credit, I lost a piece of myself. I was 14 when I wrote my first story. It wasn't perfect, but it was mine. I printed it, stapled it, and left it on the living room table. By the evening, I heard my parents talking. "Wow, Ethan, you wrote this? This is amazing. You're so gifted." My brother didn't correct them. He just smirked and accepted the praise. That was never meant for him. I ran to my room and cried quietly. Not because he stole the story, but because no one even considered that I could have written something good. That was the night I realized I lived in a home where I could achieve the impossible and still be invisible. By high school, the stealing became normal. Whenever I created something, a project, an idea, a design, a poem, he would present it as if he were the mastermind. He won competitions. Because of my work, he earned certificates. Because of my submissions, people praised him for the talent he never had. And every time, my parents repeated the same line. "Ethan is so gifted. Maya just follows him around." I wanted to scream. I wanted to shake them and ask, if he's so gifted, why do my hands hurt from doing his work? But I stayed silent. Maybe because deep down, I hoped one day they'd see me. I didn't know then that the day they finally saw me would be the day they lost their son. Not by death, but by the truth. By the time I was 17, I was working harder than ever. I wrote. I designed. I built projects. I created ideas. But they always became his. One day, our school announced a major competition. A national innovation contest. The winner would receive a scholarship and a chance to present the idea in New York. I worked for months. Sleepless nights. Coffee instead of meals. Lists, sketches, failures, restarts. It was the best thing I had ever created. 3 days before submission, my brother walked into my room. He saw my project and smiled in a way I'd never seen before. A way that scared me. "This is brilliant," he said. I smiled shyly. "Thanks. I worked really hard on it." The next morning, my project was gone. My files were missing. My sketches were torn out. My blueprint notebook was empty. I don't know how long I sat there, staring at the blank pages, feeling like someone had ripped out my lungs. I ran downstairs. And there he was, handing my work to my dad. "Dad. Look. This is what I'm submitting." My dad hugged him proudly. You will win this competition, son. My mom joined in. My talented boy, always surprising us. I stood on the staircase, holding the banister so tightly. My fingers hurt. My brother looked up at me, smirked, and mouthed, "You're nothing." That was the moment something inside me broke. Not loudly. Not violently. It broke silently. Like glass under a pillow. I left that house the next morning. No goodbye. No explanations. Just one suitcase. And one promise. I will never let anyone steal my identity again. I moved into a tiny apartment. It smelled like damp walls. And freedom. I waited tables. Cleaned offices at night. Tutored kids. And wrote during every break I got. For the first time in my life, no one could steal my voice. Because no one knew it existed. Writing saved me. I poured every bruise. Every heartbreak. Every insult. Every stolen achievement. Onto paper. Some nights I cried while typing. Some mornings I wrote until sunrise. I didn't know if anyone would ever read my work. I just needed to breathe. One day, I posted a small piece of my writing online. Just a paragraph. The next morning, it had 13,000 shares. A week later, a literary agent emailed me. Your voice is powerful. Have you considered writing a book? I stared at the screen. Shaking. My voice? Powerful? Me? After years of being told, I was a shadow of someone else's greatness. Someone finally saw me. That message changed everything. I wrote my first book. It wasn't perfect, but it was honest. When it was published, I had no expectations. But the world had expectations for me. That even I didn't know existed. My book became a bestseller. My name, Maya Hart, was suddenly everywhere. Interviews, podcasts, magazine covers, college panels, book tours across states. The world didn't just hear me. It amplified me. And back home, for the first time in his life, my brother realized what it feels like to stand in someone else's shadow. The night my book hit #1, I received a call from a number I hadn't seen in years. It was my mother. Her voice trembled. Maya, sweetheart, we're so proud of you. Proud? Now? She continued. We want to host a family dinner. Everyone wants to see our successful author. There it was. The same pattern. The same entitlement. They didn't want me. They wanted the version of me the world had validated. A version they never believed existed. A version they would have crushed if I had stayed there. I didn't answer her. Not yet. Because part of me wondered, did I want to go back to the house where I was never seen? And the other part whispered, yes. Go back. Not for them, but for the version of yourself who cried on the staircase while they praised your brother. I owed that girl closure. I owed her revenge. A revenge that didn't involve screaming, or insults, or violence. A revenge that simply said, you should have believed in me when no one else could hear my voice. I hadn't stepped into that house in almost 4 years. 4 years of silence. 4 years of healing. 4 years of rewriting the story my family told about me. The evening I decided to visit, I wore the version of myself I built from scratch. The version my family never believed I could be. Confidence wasn't an accessory anymore. It was my skin. When I walked through the front door, everyone turned. My mom. My dad. My aunts. Family friends. People who once couldn't remember my birthday were suddenly excited to say my name. Maya. Look at you. We always knew you'd be successful. Your book changed my life. You make the family proud. Their voices bounced around me like echoes of a past I didn't want anymore. And then I saw him. Ethan. My brother. The golden boy. The miracle son. The genius who built his identity using the pieces he stole from mine. He stood still when he saw me. There was no smile. No smirk. Just a flicker of something I'd never seen in his eyes before. Fear. Not fear of me. Fear of being seen. For who he truly was. The table was set like a festival. My family didn't host dinners. They hosted performances. Ones where Ethan was the star. And I was the forgettable background prop. Except tonight. The script had changed. I sat down. And instantly the question started. So Maya, how much did the book make? Are you buying a house? Do you still remember your family? You'll help your brother with his startup, right? He told us he inspired your writing. He always said you looked up to him. I didn't react. I didn't smile. I didn't correct them. Because revenge, the real kind, isn't loud. It's patient. And then my father laughed loudly and said, You see everyone? Our son always knew Maya had talent. He pushed her. He motivated her. She succeeded because he guided her. I slowly placed my glass down. Ethan sat there. Quiet, sweating. Waiting to see if I'd expose him. But I wasn't ready. Not yet. I wanted him to break on his own. My aunt leaned in and asked. So, Maya, did Ethan really help you write your book? I turned toward her. With the calmest smile of my life. No, I said softly. He didn't help me write the book. My mom frowned. Of course he did. He told us. I cut her off. He didn't help me write the book. He never helped me write anything. Silence. Heavy. Sharp. Uncomfortable. My voice didn't shake. Not even once. I looked directly at Ethan and said. You didn't guide me. You didn't motivate me. You stole from me. Chairs froze. Hands paused midair. My dad blinked like he hadn't heard me correctly. What are you talking about, Maya? I turned to him. I'm talking about all the school projects I created. That you proudly credited to him. My mother's face turned pale. I'm talking about the story I wrote at 14. That he claimed as his own. My aunt gasped. I'm talking about the national competition project. He stole from my room. And presented as his masterpiece. I paused. Then ended softly. And you all rewarded him for it. Ethan slammed his hands on the table. This is ridiculous. You're jealous. You always were jealous. I didn't raise my voice. Jealous of what? I whispered. He froze. Tell me, Ethan. Jealous of what? Your talent? Your ideas? Your hard work? His jaw tightened. That's right, I said. You can't name one thing. Because everything you were praised for came from me. My mom stood up. Stop this, Maya. You're ruining the evening. I looked at her with the kind of grief that doesn't show as tears, but as silence. No, I said. I'm not ruining anything. I'm revealing it. Ethan suddenly shouted. Fine. Yes, I used her work. But I had no choice. I had to succeed. You all expected me to be perfect. Everyone stared at him. He kept shouting. You wanted a smart son? She was the smart one. You wanted a gifted child? She was the gifted one. I was nothing without her work. His confession echoed around the room. Like a falling building. My father sat speechless. My mother covered her mouth. Everyone else stared. At the son they once worshipped. And Ethan said the final line. That shattered the last illusion. You never cared who did the work. You just wanted a hero to worship. And I became that hero. By taking her life. He fell back into his chair, shaking. For the first time in my life, my family saw the truth. He wasn't the golden boy. He was the thief. And I was the ghost who built everything. I stood up slowly. I didn't come here for an apology. Not from him. Not from any of you. My mother whispered. Maya, please sit. No, I said. I came here because the girl you ignored. The girl you erased. The girl whose work you renamed. She deserved to be seen in this house. One last time. I walked toward the door. And now that you've seen her, I'm done. My dad tried to speak. Maya. I stopped him without turning back. You taught me silence. Now live with mine. I opened the door. And I left. For the last time. My life didn't collapse after walking out of that house. It bloomed. My second book broke the record. My first one set. A Hollywood studio reached out to adapt my story into a series. My writing workshops filled months in advance. Students wrote to me saying, my book changed their lives. Readers traveled across states to meet me for 30 seconds. People didn't see me as someone's sister. They saw me as the Maya heart, the voice, the storm, the story, the name the world chose for itself. And back in that house I left behind, something else was happening. Ethan's world collapsed. The respect vanished. The attention disappeared. The admiration faded. He wasn't the golden boy anymore. He was the boy exposed. And he realized something he never thought he'd have to face. You can steal someone's work. You can steal their ideas. You can steal their voice. But you cannot steal the destiny that was written for them. People ask me sometimes, do you ever miss your family? And I always smile and say, I don't miss the people who taught me to disappear. Because in the end, my brother stole my achievements. My family stole my credit. My home stole my identity. But the world returned everything to me. With interest. I didn't get revenge by destroying them. I got revenge by becoming someone they could never claim again. My name is Maya Hart. And this time, my story belongs to me. Only me.